Yeah, this is a continuation of the video that I was explaining how things work on my turtle tank setup. I left off, I believe, on the waterfall. Like I said, 3/4 inch PVC. They go down to a ball valve with the pump supplying as well, and I just adjust the flow. It fills up just like the Whisper would if it was hooked up to sucking the air from the tank. When you suck the water from the tank, and it overflows. Simple. I need to put some more plants in here still. I need to put some plants over here to hide my overflow pipes down there. There's actually a rain guard gutter. You get that at Home Depot, you get a roll of it for a couple bucks. It's supposed to be rain guards to keep the leaves out. It works great in here. It's plastic nylon. I rolled it up, and you can see on the side here that nothing can get through it. Fish can stay alive. I had a couple fish go down into the filter, and they ended up visiting the porcelain god because I didn't get him in time to see that guy there. He won't get sucked in. Food collects there. And that's what's nice too, is the food collects there, the turtles can still go eat it, the fish can still eat it, and it breaks down, ends up getting soggy, and gets swept away later when it gets granulized and goes down to the filter, and doesn't clog the filter up as fast. What else do I got as far as functional technical stuff? I don't know. There's a bunch of goldfish and minnows. I have multiple platforms and places for them to get around. Also, the turtles can reach and get their head out of the water. This platform doesn't look it, but it's strategically placed so that they can actually stand up and get their head poked out of the water for air. Same goes over here. They can stand up and poke their head out. And the same goes for over here, unless they want to get out to their platform. Platform took me a while to search for that rock. The rock actually is the exact width of the tank, minus a couple inches here or there. But there's ledges I created here and there so that the fish could get away, and some of them like to breed, and they release their fry, and it gets eaten, but it gives them a place to do it. I did put a background on my tank. A lot of people say don't do that. Well, I don't like seeing the wires and the tubing. Plus the turtles, I feel it makes them more homey. They do sometimes think they can dig in the background. Probably a little confusing at times, but for the most part they've learned that that's not really real. You can see here that I have this one's Sarah. She'll follow me around everywhere I go. Thinks it's feeding time. And that back there is Cinderella. She's our special turtle. It's all enough said. She's not the brightest thing. But as you can see, give you some more views. See, my timers just went on. I actually switched off my daytime lights and automatically kicked on the nighttime. That was convenient. And now it's bedtime for the turtles. So I usually feed them right before the timer goes out, but so they're probably gonna get mad at me now. But you can see the backside view. Not much to see. It's dark in here now. So that's it in a nutshell. Like I said, I used 3 taping compound buckets. You can use Home Depot buckets if you want. Home Depot buckets are a little taller though, and diameter's not as wide or not as big. I use taping compound buckets because I've had them sitting around the basement and they're easy to acquire from people who do construction. The tub or the sump, I got that from Walmart. The pump I ordered online from eBay. I think I paid $30 for a 1,000-gallon-per-hour pump, which isn't bad. I keep it at least 2 inches of water over the top of it so it stays fully submerged. There is, you can't see it, but back behind those rocks is where my main return is. There's actually a heater hidden, but it's also where there's high water flow so it doesn't get too hot. And I keep the water right now I keep the water at 74 to 76, and this internal temperature in here when these aren't open stays actually close to 80 degrees, 78, 79, it fluctuates. All the PVC obviously is Home Depot. I had probably 3 sticks of 3/4 inch, a half a stick of 1.5 inches, a dozen elbows, 3 or 4 ball valves, a few T's, some plastic tubing. The note on the plastic tubing you can see back here. I got the hard tubing, which is not flexible. When I drilled the holes, I put the flexible clear plastic tubing into it, glued it in, and then stuck that down so it doesn't flex around and move and break the seals. So that way it stays sealed at all times. They like the fake plants or silk plants. We need to get some real ones in there. I've heard of all kinds of plants that they like to eat. I just haven't put them in yet. I want to put a lily pad in there. One lily pad root will sprout 6-7 lily pads at any given time, and they like to eat those. The setup actually is pretty low maintenance. I mean, I showed in the last video how to clean a filter. It takes me not even 2 minutes to clean the filter out, put a new filter pad in. Like I said, it's just regular household insulation. You can buy a roll of insulation from Home Depot, and for instance, if you cut out one circle, you trace it out to 1 safety compound bucket width or diameter, one circle can actually be 3 filter pads when you cut it out because of the thickness of the insulation. You pull it all apart so that you have a circle. Well, you just cut it out to be a circle, and then you pull it apart into perfect half-inch layers, and you got 3 or maybe 4 filter pads. So there's a month worth, because you figure every 4 or 5 days you're changing one, and a whole roll will last you a year. I mean, and you think about it too, the insulation, a roll of insulation, $30. You buy filter floss from this pet store, you pay $30, that'll last you a month or 2, and that's going to cut down your costs big time. It doesn't hurt the turtles in any way. They don't use glass anymore. I've seen that online, people doing it on their ponds. That's where I got the idea, and my uncle, he's a fish guy. So this is my first real big setup I've ever done. I think it's come out pretty well. I mean, I've learned a lot, and I'd probably do things a little differently. One thing to note I did do, which I made sure to do, was on the inside of this canopy, after I painted it, I actually put a polyurethane over everything so that moisture can't build up. It's a waterproof stain plus polyurethane. I could have done a high gloss white and then polyurethaned it so they get a little more reflection, but they already have reflective. This one doesn't here, but on the other side I already have reflective canisters that I took off of the old. You can see those here. So I get plenty of reflection down into the tank. The goldfish work out great, and the minnows, because they eat all the feces and the leftover food. They fight over it. In the tank, plus they do some waste, but it doesn't really, the filter seems to keep up. The filter keeps the water really clear. The filter just cycled, which means that it's been running for about a month, and I got bacteria growth going on, so my nitrate levels are pretty close to 0. They're a little high at the moment still, because it's still the filter's still taking off and the bacteria is still developing. But my pH stays pretty much at 7.3, 7.4 because of the turtles and fish. I keep it there. I don't let it get much lower or higher. I have a lot of rock, so I do have some alkaline in my water, so it rises the pH, pushes the pH up a little bit, which is fine. My ammonia levels are non-existent because of my filter, because of the bacteria. I don't have to worry about ammonia building up in there and being toxic to the fish. All these rocks are actually regular walkway rocks. I got them from a quarry, well, from my uncle, but he does construction. They're from a quarry that just chunks are left over. Some of them are broken in the wrong way, so people can't use them. And that's all that's in there really, and a couple of riverbed rocks just to get the positioning of things correctly. If you have any more questions, feel free to just ask me as a comment or email me. I'm by no means an expert, but I've learned a lot, and this is what I believe a turtle tank should be. I've seen a lot of turtle tanks that just don't meet the requirements I think a turtle needs. I mean, technically this tank is 20 gallons too small for these turtles. 10 gallons of water for every inch. I got 2 turtles and I've got fish, so I've got a really big load of bio waste on biomaterial on this tank. But it seems to be doing pretty well. Next tank I want to do is going to be a 250 gallon for these guys, and that'll last them probably the rest of their life once I do that. But this is my tank, 125 gallon. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll post this with the other video, so it'll be number 1 and continue number 2. That's it.